Hello, dear friends, my dear audience, and welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow, your lovely host, trying today put together some information that cares about your money. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Stephen Hong Lee. He is the founder and the CEO of the Senior Financial Group LLP. Yeah. LLC or LLC? LLC. It's a big thing to do for, especially now, when money are not sufficient, when situations are a little tight, and it is even a more important thing to do for our young people. It is recently that I got my chance to sit down with lots of young people that I never thought I should get serious. Yet I did. And by talking to them, it was quite a surprise that they sounded more sophisticated than I thought, right? And some even, I call them, say, fully fledged, right, ready to go. And some are doing even better, okay? No longer kids. They may look like kids, they may talk like kids, right, but they're thinking conceptually, they are kind of like really knowing something. Right. Those are the strong points. The weak points by them are the fact that I found out that mostly they live with their parents. Okay, that's true. They are from 19 to 21, 22, even 23, even older group, or anyway before 26. Right. Yeah. They live, number one, by their parents. Number two, if they do not live by their parents, they are financially supported by their parents. And I came across a very little situation or cases who were on their own, they were, however, scared to death by the student loans. Yeah. So now it looks to me either they stick to their parents forever or for as long as they could, or they have to face something, helplessly, with a student loan. Some even say they are still paying student loans when they were 45 years old.
That's true.
When their kids were in school, are in school already. Now, to get the answer, there are things the parents can do, there are things the kids can do, there are things school can do, there are things the society as a whole can do. I'm going to ask those questions to my friend Stephen Hong Lee, founder and CEO of Senior Financial Group LLC. Right. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack.
That follows by the question.
Okay. Okay.
Good. So, how are you commenting on the overall picture that I just described?
You know, Jack, it is a unique time in history, because the generations that came before, usually they would either have a career or go to school and get out of school and have very little debt, go out into the working world, start with a very low-paying job, evolve their way up, and eventually have a nice house and have all the amenities. Now, exactly what you're seeing, those people had children, and that child has now gone to school. And I think it's great. We have some phenomenal educational experiences in America, but the debt is amazing. It's just amazing. School, first of all, the cost of a college education goes up twice the rate of inflation. Inflation's about 3%. College education goes up 6% every year. So
it is cost more to go to school.
Yeah,
number
costs
one.
more to go to school. Second of all, the largest debt in the country is not credit cards, it is not home mortgages, it's student loans. It's about $1 trillion.
Student loans.
And student loans are, granted, the government has stepped in many ways and tried to help students, but they're still paying the student loan, like you said, until they have children.
And until their children go to school.
Now their children go to school, the debt's going to be even more so. And what you're seeing now, the phenomenon that you're seeing because of the huge volume of this debt, It used to be that there used to be just like nobody would worry about it and the kids would pay. Now companies are beginning to buy that debt because they're realizing that they can buy that debt and have that student pay them for 20 years, almost guaranteed money. You know? So that's why you see large financial companies beginning to think, okay, we need to go in and buy as much student debt as we can get our hands on. So instead of paying the government, they're going to be paying us.
Anyway, it's a long consolidation anyway.
Right, exactly.
And at the end of the day, it's still the money out of the student pocket to pay back.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. So there's programs out there that the government has instituted. One of them is called income-based replacement. It's great. The idea is that when you get out and you start working in the working world, they look at your how much money you've earned on your tax return, and they say, okay, based on the amount of money that you earn, we're going to forgive you this year 50% of what your payment should be. Okay, that sounds great.
Excused?
They forgive it.
Forgiven.
Yeah, but you have to be careful. Because what happens is every year you submit your tax return and how much money you've earned, and then they adjust it a little bit, and at the end of 20 years, usually it's 20 years, that's when the loan's paid off. So you get a letter from the government, Sallie Mae is an acronym, that says that your student loan's paid off. That's wonderful and that's great, but and here's the catch that most people don't realize.
Oh, there's the catch?
The following year, all that money that has been forgiven now becomes taxable income. So you have to pay.
Taxable income, all right.
So the following year, now you've paid off your debt. 20 years, you're done. The following year, if you've been forgiven, let's say $100,000, that $100,000 now becomes on taxable income to you, which means you have to, and if you're in a 30% tax bracket, that means you're paying an extra, in this example,
$30,000, right?
Yeah. So it's great that you're getting this money under this program and you're getting it forgiven, but you do realize that 20 years down the road, you're going to pay
anyway,
that
after
money.
all, something is better than nothing.
Right.
You're still excused for $70,000, for example, if you 100, right? Now, suppose this kid owes $200,000 as a student loan, right? And after the analysis of the taxable income and so on and so forth, and the decision was that, okay, let's excuse him or forgive him for half, let's say $100,000. Now, concentrately, she pays within 20 years off the $100,000, and then he is debt free. Now,
that's correct.
And then the excused already, the forgiven $100,000 comes back. Say 30% of that becomes your payable.
That $100,000 now in the following year to whatever you earned, you add $100,000. That's taxable income.
Taxable income. In other words, the taxable
You're paying
income.
Taxes on that.
Yeah, of course.
Money.
You have 100,000 taxable income.
Right.
Out of which you pay 30%.
Well, I'm saying 30% because usually the tax bracket
I'm
is 28
just
to 30%.
giving you a rough number, right?
Exactly.
30%. And the way I say something is better than nothing is that you are, after all, excused for $70,000.
Right.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. And that is not even the case I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those kids are so scared. What you're talking about excusable loans, is that something they are promoting or something prevailing?
It's a federal law that's been on the books since 2004. It's income-based replacement. So it's a program that's
law
used.
already.
It's a law that's already used. It's not used a lot. So what you're seeing though is a consolidation of student loan, both private loans and public loans, government loans, into one big lump sum, and then people are paying on that.
So in order for the kids to get to apply to that 2004 law, who do they come to?
They come to me. They do an analysis. The
I
analysis
see.
is done. How much money are you going to, based on the law, how much money is going to be forgiven? what is the tax going to be in 20 years or 25 years, whatever it's going to be. And they're pretty accurate right now. They're very accurate to say exactly how much they anticipate, you know, how much you're going to have to pay per year. Because every year you're going to earn a little bit more money, right? So you're going to pay a little bit more on the student loan to help pay it off. They're not going to, and then whatever's left over, the lump sum.
Versus the fact that you paid the whole $200,000,
Right.
it is still better you apply to this kind of law,
Right.
paying the 30%, you are accused of 70%.
Right. You're accused of you are excused of 70% of what they excused you.
Okay.
I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but that's exactly what's happening.
It is good. It is still good. It's
so
still
that
good.
helps. There's, you know, there's others. I don't know. There's other ways that it's done. I mean, what you're seeing now is a lot of companies, because interest rates are at a lower level.
No.
Right now, let's say they're 4%. Okay. So what you'll see is a company will go up and buy your student loan.
They consolidate.
And you're paying 6%, now you're paying 4%. You're still paying it. There's no forgiveness.
All right, okay.
But you're at
but
2%,
you're paying different parties.
If you're paying 2 or 3% less, that means your student loan is going to be less. You just have a different debtor.
I see.
You know, you just did debts being collected.
Okay, my dear audience, today we're getting to a point that we find out that we need to care about our millennials. That's why the show today is entitled Our Millennials. So our millennials, they are kind of a new generation. When I say new generation, I'm saying that that stands for a new time. That stands for a new time. Yet they have their problems. Their student loan, their lifestyles, their whatever, are together make them so different. Today, joining me is my friend and the financial expert, Mr. Stephen Hunley, founder and the CEO of Senior Financial Group. We're sharing his thoughts about how our kids are doing, how they can do even better. So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear audiences. Welcome back to the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you are. We do care about you. We do care about your kids, because we are parents ourselves. We do care about our kids. It was not until recently did I get a chance to see lots of young people. Then I started asking myself that probably I should go ahead to do a discussion about their benefit. And we used to care very little about them because we say, oh, they're a kid. Those kiddos, they're too little. Now they are not. No, they are not. We are thinking about their lifestyles right now, which makes them to stick to their parents even at the age of 26 or even after. And you're thinking about if they become independent themselves, they are facing a huge hike of the loans, student loans, that makes them pay the rest of their lives. And there are laws they might not be aware of. So together, we do the show today. Joining me, Mr. Steve Hunley, founder and the CEO of Senior Financial Planning. And welcome back, Steve, to the show. Now, we shift our angle to the parents' side.
Okay.
Now, in a household of two parents, one or two kids, most, right? And the parents could afford, right? And for them, of course, this is no difference if you have a kid around, you do not have a kid around in the house. Doesn't cost you extra. So, by and by, lifestyles formed. So, to you, is it good or bad?
It's a fact of life. Right now, what you're seeing is the traditional family where the kid graduates from college and then they kind of go off and get their own apartment, and eventually it's kind of an evolution. You'll see that, you know, they go from having roommates to not having roommates to buying a house. That scenario is kind of wayside. the economic forces are so intense right now, especially with the student loan pressing onto it. You know, the parent wants the child to get the best possible education. I think that's wonderful. But the best possible education you get is extremely expensive, you know, and it keeps going up. So that forces the child who would like to be independent, who would like to be on their own and maybe one day have their own house or condominium, they're forced to stay with their parents. So now you have this friction in the family, you know, when is my son gonna move? Well, he really can't move because if you want to have a roof over his head, he's paying all this, he's paying 60% of what he earns as a student loan. So it's a changing the dynamic of this, of the demographics of America.
Okay, all right, okay. It might be a positive thing to notice. Yeah. But I myself kind of skeptical on this one.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you're talking about standing on their own,
right,
you are talking about the older definition.
Right.
The older definition being that once they are 18 years old, they kind of tend to go away to be on their own to test run themselves.
Right.
In other words, they are totally on their own.
Right.
Right. Make their own money, work for their own money, and go on with their further study, like that kind. Now when you talk about getting to be standing on their own, though, they are physically by the body left the house.
Yeah.
All right. Financially, they are still supported by the parents.
By the parents.
Okay.
Right.
I have friends. I have young friends here in this country who came from China. Not necessarily from rich family, just an average family. They were here as early as since they were 16.
Okay.
Right now, when you think about, oh my God, a 16-year-old kid traveling across all the world, all the way half of the world to be on their own, what a brave heart.
Right.
That's a lot of guts.
Right, exactly.
Right? When we see that, we're thinking about totally standing on their own, though. Now we forget one part. The money keeps flowing this way.
Okay.
So this very kid do not have to worry about money. Just having fun by themselves being alone.
Okay.
So that's the tilt of the culture.
That's kind of rare, yeah.
That's the tilt of even the definition.
Right.
So when I say, you just mentioned about a good education.
Right.
My definition of good education should include the part to teach our kids how to handle with difficulties.
Right.
With hard times.
Right.
To even survive in a very, very bad conditions.
Right.
Those are the necessary part of education. Not all smooth sailing. So your take, by looking at your profession and also looking at your age, though, probably you and I will share the same ground.
I would agree. I think that if you are supported and everything is rosy, no matter.
Yeah, rosy.
Everything's going to be fine. Eventually,
gloriously.
Eventually, the money. I don't know. Maybe your friend's money will run out someday. Maybe the parents will. Who knows? Or the parents are not going to be there forever.
Yeah, someday. Yes.
But I think, even though we have recently, in 2008 specifically, the economy, people's comfort level with the economics of the world was really shaken, because everybody thought, oh, the world's going to keep going, we're going to keep making more money, and suddenly that stopped. I think in some respects, I would agree that's very good, because what it charged people to do is say, okay, let me back off, let me kind of live within my means, let me see where I am, and then when they started going back and investing, instead of saying, okay, everything's going to make money, they said, okay, we need to invest for the long term. We have to understand, and as an investment advisor, I have to say to them, look, things are going to go up and down. Nothing's going to be. It never works like that. So they invested conservatively, and 10 years later, yeah, they're not making the returns that they were making when they're going like this, but they're nice, steady returns.
In other words, what you're saying that with the family support, with the parents' support, though, they might accumulate some kind of surplus
Sure.
to start invest, even by the time
Right.
or at the time they are dependable to the parents.
Right.
Right?
And the thing I tell
Oh,
people who are
that's good,
millennials,
that's
I
good.
look them right in the eye and said, you only get one shot at it. You can only get one shot to be 24 years old in your life. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so the mathematics work for you. You know, you don't have, I'm not advocating you put every dollar that you make away. I'm saying that you put a little bit of money away,
Yes,
interest rate,
yes.
you don't see it, you don't use it to go and,
It's the time that counts.
yeah. The miracle of money is the time value of money.
Let the mathematics do the job.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Oh,
mathematics.
the other day, I came across a friend whose father has invested about $800 something into Diet Coke, into Coke.
Coca-Cola.
Because I drink lots of Diet
Yeah.
Coke. When I say Coca-Cola, I say Diet Coke. Into Coca-Cola. And now he's a millionaire,
Right.
being the second generation of the $800.
Yeah.
Because of that. So it's the money that works for them,
The
right?
money continues to work if it's invested correctly.
Over the years,
I'll
yeah.
give you a great example. You want to become a millionaire at 25? This is how you do it. You take 75 bucks. 75 bucks is about $2, $3 a day. $75 at 5% interest, which is nothing spectacular, which is pretty much what you can get. 5% interest, 75 bucks a month for 30 years is $1 million.
Oh yeah, that's that easy.
It's very simple.
Okay.
So if you break it down, if you say, oh, I'm going to save $1 million,
I
it
see.
doesn't work like that. The way you
Right.
say it is, if I save $3 a day, if I forego a $3 cup of coffee per day, I take that money at the end of the month, I put it in.
That's
Yeah, it's-
$90.
yeah. Okay. You invest that money. You put it into something that's pretty conservative, like a mutual fund or something of that nature. Something you're not going to touch, and you just let it go, let it work, and let it. I like to think of it percolate, like they do in company.
Okay,
Okay.
percolate,
Now,
yeah.
now, 30 years down the road. Now you go from 25, 30 years down the road. You're 55. Now you got $1 million sitting in the bank or
Well,
sitting
not
in an
bad
investment.
deal, right? Okay.
You think
Not
yourself-
every 55-year-old gets $1 million.
Yeah. Now,
right?
you know what that gives you? It gives you the opportunity to make decisions. What am I going to do with that money? Maybe I want to travel the world. Maybe I want to
All right.
become my own company.
enjoy
Maybe
your
I
life.
want to.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I don't want to do anything with it.
All right, very good.
But it gives you choice, and that's the key.
All right, my dear audience, things are getting better and better. And of course, if you put your brain together, even starting early with our millennials, even by accepting support from their parents, though, there's still something they can do.
That's right.
Before everything's too late. Oh, by the way, within 30 years, the parents might not be available, might not
That's
be
very
around.
true, yeah.
And then that's exactly the time they are on their own, yet
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
$1 million in the bank.
Yeah, you have $1
Not
million
bad.
in the bank.
Okay,
It's not
let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll keep finding from the lifestyle end. Still, we can do something more. Stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the show. Today, the show is entitled Our Millennium. People born around the turn of the century, though, they are reaching their puberty or even adulthood within time. As we talk. Well, they are facing their own life. Then looking at them. Recently, I had a chance, and I decided to do a show. That's how exactly it was created. And with the help of my good friend, Stephen Hanley, the founder and the CEO of Hanley Senior Financial Consulting Group, we're getting some guidance from expert about what these young people do. Even talking about from their lifestyle now, which is controversial.
Right.
Should they not to stick to this much to their parents' style? And the answer is that if you are 24, if you will take $75 to $90 per month, that is almost like, say, less than $3 or $3 per day, like a cup of
It's a latte.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right. Okay. Cup of coffee. Starbucks would not be happy about that. But just to take a cup from Starbucks, and well, you put in a saving. By the time when you turn 55, there's gonna be $1 million.
$1 million.
And based upon the rate today.
Yeah.
Right. And rate subject to change anyway.
Right. But at 5%, it's fairly conservative.
Oh, very good. Okay. Now, my point is that just now I mentioned when you started talking about education, you're talking about good education,
Right.
which has to include the part to teach our kids how to handle, how to deal with hardships.
Right.
I remember back in the old days when I first came, right, I had nothing on me. All right, I live on a hamburger day basis.
Right.
Okay. Those hamburgers back in the old days, when you talk about McDonald's, they have their combo. The combo is about this big. It's a $5.99 for a combo something. I asked them to cut in the middle, so I eat half for lunch, half for dinner. Okay. And by the way, that exactly tells you how the combo has shrunk. Now you're talking about a combo this big.
Right.
This big, okay, now. So anyway, that's a side of the issue the other day. So to teach our kids how to survive, even back then during my time,
Yeah.
and there are even worse times, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that could be a lesson that they missed, a blank?
I think it may be just an academic exercise to think, okay, in 1929 the world had the worst possible crash of any stock market.
Starvation, lots of power.
But they don't understand why, or 2008, what happened with the collapse of the real estate market and with the other investments, which is probably more pertinent to them than it is in what happened in 1929 on Black Tuesday. But to realize that, things, because human beings, even though we have the most advanced computer systems in the world, running every stock market, every bank in the world, we still got human beings in there that are dealing, that are emotional, that make dumb mistakes or good mistakes, whatever they make that if you understand that, there is going to be a time when the bottom falls out.
Yes, you're right.
It does. It's just the way it is.
Yes. One way or the other.
Yeah. When you're looking at investments, and the worst thing you can do is to panic and say, okay, we're selling it all, and no, is to just be, as long as you have a good solid program in place, you've invested wisely, you put your money in, like your friend in Coca-Cola or good companies like that.
For $800,
you're going to go down. But when you go down, statistically, you go back up considerably. The stock market right now is running about 20,000. At the start of the Gulf War, about 15 years ago, it was running at 7,000. It's tripled.
Okay.
So I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah,
so as long as if you're gambling, go to Vegas. Put your money at a crap table. But if you're investing for your future, you're looking at long term, okay, you have opportunities. When the market drops, you have the opportunity, if you're investing per monthly, you can buy more of that investment because it's worthless. Now when it goes up, you actually own more of that investment and it's more valuable.
What you're trying to say is that let the time speak, right?
Yeah.
Even though it fluctuates all the time, but you taking a range, you see the overall, it goes still this way.
It just goes up.
It goes up, but it fluctuates.
Yeah, you'll see fluctuations in it. There's exotic things that people like, oh, my cousin just put money in this particular investment, made lots of money. Don't listen to it. Listen to a professional. I know it's not exciting and it's dynamic or anything like that, and you hear lots of things that you should be doing. Put the money in, statistically it'll continue to grow, and one of these days you're going to look around and say, wow, I'm a millionaire today.
So you're kind of suggesting our young people, while there is still money coming from your parents, though, try to, number one, save some.
Exactly.
Don't spend them all.
Right.
Right? Don't squander money, at least, right? Okay. Number two, when you save money, save the money into, could be a bank, now could be an investment for better.
Investment bank.
For better, right?
Right.
And, all right, now they have two things to do, but three options.
Right.
Right. So one is better than the other.
Right. So when you invest money, I'm not saying it all depends on what you and your professional decide to do, but when you're investing money, the best way to do it is to not see it.
Just pretend that you do not have that money.
So you say, I'm going to take 10% of the value of what I earn, and that money is off the table. That money is going into my mutual fund account or my 401k or whatever it's going to go into. Okay, and then you don't look at it. Okay, I realize that now the value of my worth in the economy has gone down 10%. Not really. You've taken 10%. You've paid yourself first. Put that money away, and eventually, now one of these days you're going to.
It goes back to your own principle. Pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. You work for it.
Okay.
Even if you're getting money from your parents.
You deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it because you work hard for that money. So, and you'll start to see the money grow, and maybe maybe 1 month it'll go down, maybe 1 month it'll go up, 1 quarter. Eventually, what it's going to do is start to ratchet itself up, and then it's going to start feeding off itself because now you have all this money that you've earned interest on, and that interest will now earn interest, and so on.
It's because you're talking about multiple interests
I'm
anyway,
just trying.
right?
It's the time value of money is a magical thing, and when you're in your 20s, you have the time to do it.
Very good. My dear audience, the problem is that our young people do not know the hardship of life.
That's true.
Had they known, in the future, somewhere, somehow, there's going to be a rainy day, there are going to be hard times, whatever, let me get prepared. They are not sophisticated enough to be on that stage.
Right.
Sooner or later they will, but while you can listen to professionals, right? Let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll exactly find out more what our professionals say with the whole thing called strategy.
Okay.
Money strategy. So stay with us, please. Hello, dear folks, my dear lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Especially, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be somebody's kids, though, somebody's parents, though, we're talking about your kid, right? Today, with my good friend Stephen Hanley, founder and CEO of Hanley Senior Financing Group. Right. We're getting his professional point of views about how we deal with our millennials. It was all because my meetings lately with some young people that triggers me the thought about doing this show. I believe they need it. And those young friends who I met for discussions, now you see that I keep my promise, right, and I'm on it, discussing it with my friend, Steve Hanley. Now, you're advising them to start early as they can.
Right.
Right. And you are advising them or instruct them to say, while money is still there, save some.
Right.
Right. And you are telling them, with the saved money, you could go to a bank for a saving account. Right. Right. And with a saving account, you would rather think about an investment.
Right.
Right. And what else do you think you want to recommend them? Because they are here, they are watching the show to hear for your professional advices.
Okay, so I'm advising that, as I do many clients, like pay yourself first. 10% goes off the top. Second, though, is try to, in certain ways, reduce. If you have student debt, that usually has to come first. But if you have credit card debt, okay, there's good debt and bad debt in this world. Good debt would be if you're gonna loan me money, I'm gonna buy a house. I'm in debt to you, but I still own the house. Credit card debt can be oppressive because if the credit card is running at 13 or 15%,
some even 17.
So try to pay that down. I'm advocating never get rid of a credit card because that does hurt your credit score, but pay down the big ones as much as you can. Also, I'm not advocating you become a hermit and live in your car. There are certain things that you maybe want, but reward yourself. Say, look, I paid down this credit card to the minimum level. I'm going to go to the movies tonight. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. You should reward yourself, but use these financial tools to your advantage, and then use them as a reward. Because you, as being so young, and I know they'll say, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that." If you say you can't do it, you can't do it. It can't be done.
There is a conflict here, still conflict here. I have many friends who are parents, right? They kind of say, "I never let my son or daughter touch any credit. We have plenty of money to support, right? And here goes the money. Never touch those things. Those things hurts. Those things bites at the end."
That's true.
So, and this is one concept. And the other concept is that you are borrowing money with your credit card company. That helps you establish your credit. And then, I mean, for you to recommend to the young people, our millennials,
Right.
so what do you recommend? To follow the parents' instruction never to touch that devil, or to borrow a little bit to try to reasonably establish yourself?
I never would have tell a parent what to do or whatever, but my feeling is this.
Okay.
Eventually, you're going to want to buy a house. Okay? You want to buy a house. And it's a great thing to buy a house for many reasons. But when you buy a house, especially in this environment, they want to have a credit score. And the best way to get a credit score is to have established credit, that you pay the money back on time, that you're trustworthy and honest. And I'm not saying that you do anything dumb with a credit card, just pay it off and keep it paid off at time. Then when your credit score is higher, your interest rate on the house that you want to buy will be lower. They work in inverse directions, okay? But the parents will say, "Oh, okay, let's go back to parents over. You don't have to have credit. You don't need a credit card. I'll pay for everything."
Yeah, they say, "Hey, never touch it, never touch those devils."
Is the parent going to co-sign for the loan for the house? Because eventually that child, the evolution of young people's housing, eventually they get to the point where I want to buy a house, or I want to buy a condo. I want to have I hate the color of this house. I want to repaint it when I own it. That's great. Question is, who's going to pay for this house? Who's going to buy it? Is the parent going to buy it? Let the child live in it? No, probably not.
So, and what if someday there is the supply of money stops?
That's right. So the child really wants to have the house. They want to own it. They just establish credit. They're good people. They work hard. They pay their taxes, which is another thing they look at, and they get a high credit score, and then they get pre-approved. They go to a bank or a mortgage person and
they start to see the benefit.
Then the mortgage person says, "Okay, well, you have good credit score. Normally we would say to you, the only amount of house you could get is $400,000. But because you have a good credit score, you can go look for a house for $500,000. Well, $500,000, and then once you buy that house, it's not only the sense of accomplishment and pride and whatever, and you can do whatever you want.
You have a larger room, you have better chance,
Yeah.
and you have a higher score of credit card.
Yeah.
And those are the things that parents can help them.
That's right.
Right?
If you use the
So
credit wisely.
it is good advice to educate them, including the parents,
Right.
to change the attitudes towards credit card loans.
That's right.
Credit card debts, right? To teach them to allow the kids to touch within reasonable range,
Right.
and to pay it back in a managed way, so that the credit card, the score is brought up.
Exactly. So you use credit
I mean,
wisely.
the credit score is brought up.
Right. We're using credit card to pay the money off. We're using it wisely to get our credit score higher. And granted, credit card debt is considered bad debt because you're paying it off. But if you use it wisely, now on the other side of the equation, when it's time to buy that house, wow, you got a high credit score, you paid your money off, you look really good.
Which is the best way, because I know what to do, but I want a word to be said out of your mouth, because I'm not a financial person.
Right.
Whatever I say might not be referential to the kids.
Right.
I want you to say it, right? in between the two ways of paying back. For example, you took a loan for say $20,000 from a credit card, right? Yeah. And then your minimum pay is $300 per month, something like that. Okay, there are two ways. Number one way is that you keep on paying little over $300, right? And then you pay the period of time, like say in 3 years, to pay the whole thing back, right? This is number one, choice number one. Right. Choice number two, in two lump sum deals, you should pay the whole thing off of the $20,000. In which case, bank makes no money. Right. Right. In the first case, bank makes money. Which way makes the bank happier, brings your score higher?
I hate to say it, but the first scenario. But the first scenario, because it establishes the fact that you make regular payments. Okay. And that means that you look good to a creditor. Oh, Jack makes payment every month. He's made a payment on this thing. I see. Never been late. Instead of Jack just waited 6 months, never paid us.
And then paid one lump sum. Yeah. All right, good. So, okay. And this is what I want to say, right? But I want a word out of your mouth as a professional handling the financial whole thing as a subject. I want the kids to listen. Today we have one of the very rare chances of sitting here to talk about money. Money. It concerns everybody, especially to our kids. When you started, I'm not saying that you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, but thank God you have good parents, right? Right. Okay, now, while it is still valid, try to put aside some money to think about the 30, 40, 50 years later. Right. Those are the plans that my friend, Stephen Hunley, financial advisor, I want to give you. And to my audience, thank you very much for watching. And to those young people who I met lately, I promise that I will do a show for you. Now I do it, and I'm doing it, and I did it. And thank you for watching too. And to Stephen Hunley, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Jack. Thank you.